Yeah, Brittany and I are both talkers, so we could just probably give us any topic and we could probably be talking for like 5 hours.
Dance Journey!
With Tracy in LA. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Dance Journey. Today we have Brittni Miller. Say hi.
Hey!
I'm excited to have Brittni because I've known her for, it feels like a long time now. It's been, I think about, I thought it had been about a year, but actually, when did we first meet, Brittni?
Okay, so I don't know if I met you at this time, but like I was in class with you during this time. Like I went to C-Spot to take Christian's class on Mondays for like a short period of time, even though I love his class. And I went with like Savannah sometimes and Christine sometimes. I think Jess even tried it once. I don't know if you were there every time, but I remember your face from that. So when you came to auditions, I was like, oh, like I recognize you. But I was probably hiding in the back. So
it's a small room over there, so you can't hide
back
too much
left.
in the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did used to take Christian's class every single Monday. Actually, he was on the podcast.
Really?
If you go back pretty far,
I'll
because
go
it was
back.
towards the beginning. But yeah, so I don't remember Brittni. I usually stood in the front, and I was like very focused because Christian class was hard, and I had to really focus in that class.
Yeah, I liked his choreography a lot. I honestly just stopped going because the distance was but it like between Unbound seasons is usually when I want to like try and take new classes. So I was like, oh, I've like always wanted to take this class. And I loved it. So we started going more regularly, but C-Spot's just like a little bit of a push for me. So I'm like, if he taught like a hair closer, but I loved his choreography. Honestly, it was just like so much. He would teach so much choreography, but it was a really good challenge. Like I really like his style of movement. I felt like it was like fun to dance at.
Oh yeah. He is one of the reasons why I got better at picking up choreography, because he did teach a lot, and there's a lot of, it does have a lyrical vibe to some parts, but then there's a lot of quick movements, and he does counts.
Yeah.
And so you really have to like focus and think, and I did get a lot better. I started out terrible in his class. Like I was a mess. I was kind of almost embarrassed to be there, but I liked it. I'm like, maybe if I keep going. And then I did keep going, and after like a year or a year and a half of going, I was like, wow, I'm finally like doing pretty good in his class. I'm picking up everything. And then after that, so I was working on the West Side for a while. And so I would go after work. And then when I stopped doing that, it also became very far for me as well. So, but yeah, love Christian's class. But we're going to talk about the class we just took right now, which was my first time with Terry Best.
I'm so excited. I love her class. I think the first time I did it was with Danielle. And we took Kana's ballet class before, and then we're like, should we just stay for jazz? Like, there's jazz class after. It was like 30 minutes after. We're like, why not? And then we took it, and we're like, we were really sore the next day, or at least I can speak for myself. I was really sore the next day. And, like, it was just such a feel-good, like, just like Luigi style, like, full warm-up. The warm-up, like, is a dance in and of itself. And then, like, the way she teaches, what I personally love about her style is, like, a lot of teachers teach you choreography, and you're like, wow, this is great for me to like learn either new moves or just be like choreography retention, which I like do need to work on, but that's fine. But she teaches you, I think, how to dance the movement while you're working the choreography, like where she's like, here's the moment that you like sink in, and this should be smaller. Like this is where you like linger, and that helps me actually like in other dance styles. I feel like learning how they want you to do the movement.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
I noticed that too. This was my first time taking her, and this is at Hama's Dance Center. Is that what it's called? The full name?
I think so. I actually don't even know.
We just call it Hama's.
Yeah.
It's in Studio City, and they are kind of known for having really like kind of more old school jazz classes with really long warm-ups, and they're amazing. Like every class I've taken here has been really good. But I hadn't taken Terry Best yet, but I've always heard really good things about her, and I'm sure I've seen videos of her class on Instagram and noticed them and have wanted to take her. So yeah, she does a very full warm-up that kind of feels dancey, and I was nervous because my friends in the class, Brittni included, and some other people that I saw were like, yeah, she's kind of hard. There's direction changes. It can get a little crazy. And I was like, oh, no, I haven't taken a class like this in a while. But Brittni was saying, but she's so good at teaching it. And that I can confirm, like, she was very good at teaching it, because I do get confused with, like, direction changes and things like that. But she went over it a good amount of times. I mean, it is a somewhat advanced class. It's not like a beginner class. But she went over it enough. And then like you said, like once we were finally getting the steps, she was so funny. She was like, okay, everyone's getting the choreography, and that's step one. I'm like, for me, that's sometimes the final step.
Yeah,
I should say it's
also
usually the final step in a class, obviously not for like a performance, but when I can just remember the choreography by the end of the class, I'm proud of myself. But there's so much more to dancing than that, and it's really nice to have a teacher who specifically is honing in on like how we can dance it better. And some teachers, and a lot of teachers are good at that, but some teachers will kind of just be like, give it more texture or make some parts your own, or they'll give more general comments, but they won't always tell you like exactly where and like how to do different things. And she did a really good job of being like, she kind of showed us how we were dancing it, and then she said, but listen to like how they're singing it, and then she showed us how to dance it more like the song was being sung. And then she also told us certain parts, like this part you're doing too crazy, and this part you want to like linger more. And it really helped me, and I was able to kind of take, at least I was trying to take some of the notes. We'll see what it looks like in the video.
Yeah, no, you did great. And I think ultimately too, like for me, the way that she almost said to like, it wasn't like she said dance smaller, but I think when people say full out, I think go as much energy as I can like put into something. But I think she kind of makes me rethink full out, as in like, if you're really in yourself, like kind of just like sink into that feeling, and then when you make the change, make it intentional. So it's like being really intentional about each step and how each step flows into the next one. And I feel like for me, where I kind of struggle sometimes with teachers giving correction is if it's like too vague, where I'm like, I don't really know exactly where I'm supposed to do that. And I think she gives very specific notes, so it's very easy to implement, like here's where you should reach longer, or here, you know. And I think you can really tell her sharps from like her flowies. It's pretty easy to understand her style of movement, and she's so motivational and positive. She put some really challenging moves and sequences in, but she like, I feel like normally if you do that in the class and the teacher was like scary, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. But like with her, you're like, I'm going to do this, because she's positive and it feels like she's like cheerleading you on. Like she wants you to succeed. Totally. Which like makes it more fun.
I felt that. And a lot of these people have been taking her for, you know, years and years and years. And I'm obviously like new to her class, but she was even so encouraging to me. Sometimes teachers, when there's a new person, it's not necessarily that they're trying to not care about you, it's just they don't know you or whatever. But she was like very honed in, probably on the fact that she noticed I was new. And so even in the warm-up, which I was struggling with because her warm-up was not super easy, and she was like, that's great, good job. And I was like, oh, okay. But then another time she kind of like corrected me, but that's amazing. Like I love being corrected, because that's the whole reason we go to class. We don't go to class to just only hear positive things, but she does a really good job of correcting in a positive way and doing it in an encouraging way. And then there's some really advanced dancers in the class, so even just watching them is inspiring. Yeah. And I also liked how she did so many rounds at the end. Like she divided us into 4 groups, and I don't even know, did we do like 7 rounds? I felt like the rounds kept going.
Yes, we went forever. I was like, yeah, that was insane. But I feel like by the time, because it's like her choreography when she's first teaching it, her style, which is like similar to Denise's also, it's like a lot of like turning around yourself and movements that sometimes can get like, you can get kind of confused with similar movements. And so you kind of, it's hard to pick up initially, but because you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, it really sinks into like everyone, and you can tell that works, because at the end, like every group had everyone doing it together. Like it wasn't like, oh, like 50% of the people know it, or even 75. It was like, no, like 100% of the people knew the choreography, knew the timing.
That's true.
And we're hitting it. And it was like, yeah, everyone's a good dancer, but also was like, that's how she teaches.
Yeah, and the fact that I, who have never taken her class before, and it's not like I'm a super wizard at choreography. I do have experience picking up choreography, but she's definitely a good teacher. Like the fact that I, without knowing her, the type of moves she tends to do, because people, when you've taken it enough times, you're like, oh, she does this move a lot or something, but I don't know her moves at all, and she definitely taught it really well, because in the beginning I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to get this. It's going to be so hard. And then I'm like, oh, I was actually surprising myself. I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. Wait. But then there was this turn sequence, which for me, I was telling Brittni and Danielle this, because Danielle, our friend Danielle, also came today. For me, when there's a difficult turn sequence, or just like a double turn, or this was like a double turn, fouette turn, double turn. Yeah. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it literally was.
That's not what I was. I mean, I was trying to do, in the beginning, I just did a single turn, sort of fouette turn, whatever version of that I was trying to do. Then I was like, okay, I think I could do a double turn into a fouette turn, which I was kind of doing. I was never doing double fouette, double again, but Danielle was definitely getting that. Were you getting that? I wasn't watching you.
I think
during
I
the
got
turn for some
it.
reason.
Sometimes we're cleaner than others. Turns, I feel like I'm comfortable with that. But the thing is, to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to double forte and then just keep turning until I hear that badoom into the plie, like out of it.
Step,
I was like, I don't even know how many turns are happening right now. I just need to like wait until I'm allowed to go down out of this.
I know, I was often a little bit early, but I was saying that my turns started out better. And what happens is the more rounds we do, I start to like get tired. But I noticed with Danielle, for some reason, she was like more in front of me where she was dancing, so I saw her a little more clearly. But with her, it was like, I felt like the more she practiced it, her turns were getting better.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I was like, oh, I kind of had those turns a little bit in the beginning, and now I'm getting tired and my body's like, so that's why I feel like I have to just practice turns more to even build the stamina of like, I can keep doing this.
Yeah, for me, there was the one time, like, the amazing girl was in front of me, and then I went to spot, and she's right in front of me. I was like, shoot, I have to spot her because she's like, I'm not in the mirror. I, like, can't spot. So I was like, okay, like, she's moving, so I was like, I really hope she nails this. So, and that was probably the one time where I was, like, a little more discombobulated, but, I mean, she was amazing, and she also killed her turns. But that's why I, like, love her warm-up, though, because I feel like in the same way that her, like, reaches and the way that she, like, guides through those similar movements happen in the choreography, rotating your passe in and out and extending, and you're like, okay, I hope my center stays. It's like you don't have an option. You're like working your center the entire time you're doing the warm-up. So by the time you do the combination, I feel like you're more prepared.
That's true. And I felt that because definitely the warm-up, there's just a lot of balancing and a lot of, being on one leg. And even her Batma combination, it was not at least for me, it wasn't the usual Batma. Like, there was a different way of doing it that just required a little bit more balance.
Yeah.
A more like swinging and just the way we did it on one leg and into different movements before the next Batma. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just a lot more, you had to be really centered. Yeah. And so, you kind of, I mean, that's probably why she does it, so you can have that already going before the choreography. And then I did feel a little more, I mean, each round was different, but there were some rounds where I felt a little more centered, and I was like, oh, I feel like that's something I just really want to work on is my core and being centered, because I'll notice myself just kind of losing balance on really simple movements sometimes. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I not just like sticking this movement better?
I mean, like some days are better than others. Yeah. But like the one thing that really helped me, which actually came from Kana, when you do like, it's just like the standard plie and then you roll through your feet and then you like, whatever, all that thing. Where she told me to focus one time, was she's like, what you should be focusing on during this time is you're rotating the entire time. Okay. Like you should feel your thighs rotating, so that's like all active that entire time. And so I was thinking about this during Denise's warm-up when I was like on one leg. You're constantly rotating in general to keep that center. And for me, something with that clicks. I don't know if that clicks for everyone.
No, that makes sense.
That helps me with my center a lot, but I mean, everyone's different.
Can you only really think about that during warm-up, or do you actually think about that when you're dancing?
I mean, not like in turns and stuff like that, but I think in theory, a warm-up is supposed to like set you up for like the dance, right? Yeah. So when I like warm up in general, I always do abs because I cannot turn if I don't do abs. Oh my gosh. It will not happen.
I need to do that too.
I need to be better at spotting because some days I'm really good and some days I kind of just wing it. But it's also, like if my center is fine, sometimes I just am like, it's fine, I'll get around. But like I need to know where I'm ending. So that's important. But I think just with that rotation, like being able to work it in the center, I was like, oh, I feel really centered by doing this. So then when I go to do the turns, I'm not like freaking myself out.
It's more natural. It's more just happening a little more naturally. No, honestly, that was so good.
The hardest part of holding my center on that one was on that tilt that came out of the turn where you're on releve because you're technically like peeking into it. So it's like you're stepping into the tilt, but you're like holding it, but then you go down. That was a hard center thing because it was like coming out of the turn to like sustain. Yeah. So I was like, I'm keeping my leg lower because I want to feel controlled.
Every time I did that part, I think I learned a little bit more what it was. Because at first I was like, what are we doing? And then I realized that there was like a turn before it. I was like, okay, now I know that. Then I was like, oh, and our arms go like this. Like every time I notice a different thing about it because there's some people that are just so good. So I was like honing in on them. I'm like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. Oh, what? Because I mean, she does teach combos that she's taught before, it seems. At least this one was. And so some of them have, I mean, I'm sure it's been a while, but some of them have learned it a long time ago as well. So there's a lot of people that are advanced dancers and also have a lot of experience with her choreography. So it was nice to like watch them and be like, okay, that's like really. And then she has all the guys dance together.
Oh my God, I died.
They're amazing. Like, yeah, they're amazing.
The height when they jumped, I was like, cool, everyone. They're all flying. And the centers when they turned, I was like, they're doing like 40 billion turns. I'm like, that is like
their
well
turns
past
were really good.
Yeah.
And Brittni and I were saying we feel like we're just like watching a show back here.
It was amazing.
We're just like sitting in the back. And we're just like, wow.
But she has her like loyal cult following. There's like constantly similar people like in her classes, people who like used to take her combinations where I think, and I could be wrong, but I think she'll teach certain combinations where she like pulls them from her like archive sort of. And I think that was one of them because she was like, do you know this one? And they're like, yeah, or like maybe. So if you've like done it, even if it was like 20 years ago or something, it probably feels really good to like pull from something you know but isn't fresh, or you're like relearning it, but
it's buried somewhere way deep inside of you. You're like, oh, this is coming back to me. It's so cool, the people that have danced with her for so long. I mean, I've only even been dancing for about 8 years, and when she used to teach at Edge, that was back when I was taking very beginner classes, so I would never have I'd never even tried jazz, like that kind of jazz or lyrical or contemporary. Did you?
I only went like once or twice there because I was like, this is a lot.
Like it was hard?
It was far,
it was hard
and it was like,
park. Okay.
where I was like, okay, and then I liked I used to go to the Old Millennium.
Oh,
and I liked
so
the
I've
Old
never been
Millennium.
there. Okay.
Yeah, because of the parking. I did not like the parking.
What did you like about the Old Millennium?
I mean, the new one's nicer, but I used to go summer after high school. I like started taking Kana's class, and then I took Nick Lazaridis' class after like a couple times. But I would go so early so I could get a spot in the lot.
Wow.
Because she was the first class in the morning. So I was like, if I go, and that's why I started going to that class, I was like, I can go and I can get a spot because it's the beginning part of the classes. Because the problem is like on the old where you used to get off on Magnolia, I think it was like hour only parking if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You'd have to like leave class and like fill up
That's crazy.
the meters with change. Because like they didn't have the credit card things.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to leave class.
Nuts.
Yeah. So I was like, I will only go if I go like way early and sit in my car behind
That's funny.
Yeah.
I know. Well, what's funny, my first experience with Millennium, it's the one that it is now, but it was before the pandemic. I was taking almost all my classes at Edge, and I kept hearing about Millennium, and I was like, I sort of just want to try a class at Millennium and just see what the hype is about. And I had classes on almost every night after work. I went to dance, but my Fridays were free, and I was like, okay, there's a beginner hip hop at Millennium on Friday. I'm going to check it out. But I think I was racing to get there, and I was kind of running late. And when I was pulling up to it, I was like, wait, where do I park? Because I was used to Edge that has like this big, huge parking lot, at least the new Edge. It really had a really nice, large parking lot that was easy. And so I'm like, okay, I can park in the neighborhood, but everything's up hills. And so I go up the first hill, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never been here before. I'm going to have to like register, because I think back then we were still kind of registering at the front desk and stuff, like filling out a form or something. And I'm like, I'm not going to walk in late to my first class here ever. And like, I remember circling a little bit, but that street in front of it, Ventura or whatever, like it's busy. And I was like, this is stressful. So I remember I went that one time, and I was like, not for me. And I didn't go to the class. I don't think I had paid for it because I was just going to pay on the spot. But I never checked it out. Then COVID happened, and I never went to it. But then Edge shut down during COVID, and that's when I was like forced to go to Millennium. And I was like, I'm going to have to figure out this parking situation, because that was my last memory about it. But now that I go there all the time, I feel like the parking's like kind of easy, because I just have certain spots I always go to, and it's not that bad. And I don't really know how they fit as many people as they do in there, because I don't know where everybody else is going.
I have no idea. I also feel like, though, like the new one, the parking I feel better about.
Okay.
It's the old one that I was like,
worse.
I also can't parallel park. So that is like my big issue, is I'm like, I can't. So therefore, like there's a limited number of spots, so I have to plan accordingly.
Wow. You're like, I can only go to the first class of the day at Millennium.
No, like literally, that's why I used to, because I was like, well, this is the only option.
Usually, because Kana teaches ballet.
But it was great. I mean, that was so long ago. But that's how I found her class, and I was like, wow, I really like this. And then here we are.
Yeah, because Kana is a really great ballet teacher, and she teaches at Hama's and at Millennium. So you can find her at both of those places. But yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, so now I'm used to it, but I don't remember what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about Terry's class. But yeah, great class, Terry Best. Definitely highly recommend. Would definitely call it at least an intermediate. Is it considered jazz?
Yeah. jazz.
Oh, 'cause
it's like jazz, like that was kind of more like jazz lyrical
felt
combo.
a little lyrical.
Yeah.
The floor work was really fun. It wasn't like, I guess because the floor work I normally do is sort of crazy. Her floor work felt like, which I like the crazy floor work, but her floor work is very different. It's just very like, kind of more flowy floor work, which I really enjoyed as well.
It's like, I feel like the way she uses her tricks is very intentional, where she's like, oh, there's like stylized technique movements, but it's more about the dancing, and like those are just part of it. So I feel like her floor work is less tricks and more like movement, kind of.
It's more like really like dancing, but on the floor.
Yeah.
Is what I felt. Like you feel very, whereas some of the classes I take right now, I do like learning the tricks, but they're kind of so crazy that for me, I'm sure some people can think about dancing them more, people that are even more advanced. But for me, I'm like, I'm just hoping I don't fall on my face here. It's just like, feels like a crazy jump. But anyway, yeah, that was such a good class, and please take it if you guys get a chance. But she only teaches
like once a month.
About once a month, because I guess she used to have a regular class all the time, but now I don't know, does she travel or something?
I'm not sure. I follow her on Instagram in hopes that maybe she'll pop up somewhere else. I just haven't seen her pop up anywhere else, but for now,
it's funny because we had actually planned to take the free ballet class today with Los Angeles Ballet, which is also a great thing on Sundays, but Brittni did want to take Terry's class, but we didn't know when she was going to be teaching again, so we didn't really know how to like schedule that. So we ended up just agreeing to do the ballet class, but then literally the last minute, Brittni's like, wait, Terry's actually teaching at like the same time we were going to take the ballet class. So as much as I do love ballet, and I also love free ballet, I was like, okay, I've never taken Terry. It's pretty crazy that it was at the same time. I think we are supposed to do that class.
That was like a kismet moment. I was like, wow, the stars aligned.
Like, how did this happen?
That was great.
Yeah, and I'm so glad because that was amazing. I do not regret that. I definitely would love to take her again. So anyway, that was, wow. Brittni and I are both talkers, so we could just probably give us any topic and we could probably be talking for like 5 hours. But okay, we want to hear about you. So Brittni, tell us kind of what your dance life looks like right now.
Okay, so right now, we just finished NACHMO, National Choreography Month. I know you saw the show.
Yeah.
So that was really fun.
You were in, how many pieces were you in?
I was in 3. So I was in Matthews, and I was in Yari's and Christine's, which were all like really beautiful pieces, which were awesome. And the whole like concept of that is just that like they only have the month of January to work on it.
Right.
As someone who struggles with like intake of choreography, that's a really good challenge for me. But I like it because then it puts the pressure on. You're like, well, I have to know it within a month. That's that, you know?
And I had seen NACHMO before, but then this was the first time I realized they do have auditions. I didn't know they even had auditions, but a lot of times the choreographers kind of already know like who, they already kind of have their group that they're going to use, I guess. But then they also have auditions in case they want to pull from that, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can audition for it. So in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I should go even to just get experience auditioning, even if like I don't get in anything. But then I was thinking about it and I'm like, they do it all in a month, which is cool, except it's right before LA Unbound starts. And I was like, you know what? I'm about to be going crazy with LA Unbound, so I don't want to like exhaust myself right now. So I just like, you know what? I'm going to go see NACHMO and enjoy it.
I've done that. So I did like NACHMO a couple years ago. Didn't do it last year. And then I like did it this year. And I feel like it's do you want the break or do you want more dance?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this year I can handle more dance. Last year I was like, I need to chill.
Okay. It's good that you can like listen to your body and like what you need.
And I think the auditions, weren't they like the day after New Year's or something
It was something like that.
It was something where I was like, I had full intentions to go, and then the day it happened, I was like, I can't go to this. But then I already like, some people had asked me, so then I was like, okay, I'll for sure dance in that. And I'm glad I did. I actually really like the way that they run that. There's a lot of like variety in the dance styles, a lot of overlap with Unbound, but also a lot of like really new and amazing people I've never seen dance. And
yeah, it is there was a lot of cool pieces and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it the past 2 times that I watched it. And you were also in another show.
Yeah.
Right at the
same weekend.
You went crazy. No dance breaks for you this year. Like
no, that was like a little, so we had mashup. We performed for Katie Koval's open floor group, and we did a piece that she set on all of us, which was really cool. And that was actually a nice order too, because having NACHMO the night before was like 3 pieces and very like cardio intensive, like a good hustle. And then Katie's was, it feels really good on your body to dance her choreography.
Katie's is very like
flowy and like it. I feel like it challenges me in the way that it's flowy because sometimes I need to be more flowy.
Me too.
So like it's a good challenge, but it feels good to dance. And so like when I'm doing it, I feel like I can feel really present. So kind of like coming out of NACHMO into that mashup performance was like a really nice order and flow. And I liked that. And that was at Pickletown.
Pickle Factory in
Frogtown. Yeah, I can never.
It's such a weird but it's a really good space.
It's
but
a cool
it's
space.
called the Pickle Factory. It's in Frogtown, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really know where I'm driving when I drive there. I'm like, it's cute, but I'm like, where am I right now?
Yeah, it's a really cool space. The parking is tough, but I didn't drive.
Parking is a little tough depending. Well, it's usually mostly tough. And Katie, so I've been following her for a while, and I took her class a few times, long time ago. I've also taken class like with her. I think that's how I met her because we actually went to the same class once or twice. Yeah, she's great. Her choreography was a different type of thing for me. But when I look back at the videos of me in her class, I'm like, ooh, like it showcases a different side of me that I don't usually get to practice. So I was proud of myself. Like I didn't do too bad, and I could see that taking her was helping me to be more flowy with like even my transitions and everything. And she does some cool turns and things. I'm sad that I missed the show because it didn't fit in my schedule to see it. But I mean, I saw some clips and it looked cool. But can you explain what mashup is?
So there was like a showcase of different choreographers, and there was like some really cool modern pieces. There was a lot of variety. It was just like some of them were solos, some of them were duets. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed like watching everyone. There's some insanely talented dancers that were doing like some acrobatic stuff. I was mind blown. But it was like a really like unique display of talent and choreography. And I know that they have like other, like they do it at different venues, I think, sometimes. Okay. It's my understanding.
You only did it at one.
That's the first time I've done it. Yeah.
Does it at different venues. Okay. Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, it's almost kind of like NACHMO, except not with the restriction necessarily. So you just did that.
Yeah, so we just did that. And then, okay, so that was kind of like the break between Unbound, because usually like, usually have Unbound fall season and then spring season for us people who do it every year.
Yeah. Well, and now, this is now my third season. So I'm becoming one of those people. But
we love it.
I explain LA Unbound every podcast almost, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but basically adult dance company organization that does 2 shows a year, and anyone can audition, any choreographer can submit, and if they're selected, but they usually do a lot of pieces, so like 25 pieces or something.
Yeah.
Auditions are really fun because you get to see a little bit of each piece. That's like my favorite part. We actually had auditions yesterday, so we could talk about that. But and then it's like a few hours of auditioning different styles, and then you literally find out that night which pieces you're in. But they try to include everybody, as long as you put enough pieces that you're interested in. They try to get everyone in at least one piece. And once you've done it enough times and you get to know people more, you're more likely to get in like a few more pieces. There is a max. Right now it's 5, which is crazy. Are you in 5?
No.
No, you're in 4.
I'm in 4.
Which is still crazy. But
I feel like, I don't remember if I did 5 last season or 4 last season. I can't remember. Oh, because I had myself as my backup. That's what it was. So I learned mine. Yeah.
Brittni choreographed last season, and I was in her piece, and it was so beautiful. Well, I watched Brittni's piece 2 seasons ago, and I thought it was really cool, but I didn't really know anyone because I was totally new. And then this last season, I was so honored to be in Brittni's piece. It was very challenging for me, but I really enjoyed the challenge, and every piece I was in, I felt like I grew so much. But you have such a specific, fun style. I feel like it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Some parts are kind of spastic.
Yeah,
but in a really pretty way, though. It looks so cool the way, it's like you have a good vision of like how it's going to look with everybody doing different things or doing it at the same time. But then you also have, at least in this piece, maybe your piece 2 seasons ago maybe didn't have as much of this from what I hear, but you had different parts that were a little more breathy, like where you actually could literally catch your breath. And
yeah, I'd say like, I don't know if I fully even understand my own style. Like, I know how to create it, but, like, describing it can be difficult for me because I've thought about it a lot. Like, I feel like spastic, actually, there is a lot of elements of that. So I will say, like, thank you for saying that because I feel like that actually gave me some clarity. Because I feel like I'm not that flowy, but I love floor work. But I kind of think I choreograph more in, like, a sort of everything should feels like it's kind of, like, guiding you into the next movement kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I think about a lot of intention when I choreograph, like, there's usually, I work with the story because that's just how my brain works. Beginning, middle, and end is kind of how I think. But I feel like the constant theme that I've realized, like the last 3 pieces I've done, 4 pieces, I guess, I've kind of done a lot of like something's like spinning you a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I don't do that intentionally, but I feel like consistently I keep doing that. Some sort of tornado thing just kind of keeps coming across in every single piece. I have no idea how, but it just like finds its way out of my body and into the choreography.
Yeah. I could see that. It was so fun to watch it on video because when you're in it, and Brittni is such like a storyteller, and she always had like this good story of like, now it's this relationship and then it's this relationship and then this is happening. And sometimes it was hard for me to remember the story. Not that we absolutely had to, but it's helpful, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm in my own world doing my part, but then there was like different maybe couples or partnering happening, but I wasn't necessarily looking at them. Although you did encourage us towards the end when we were cleaning it. Brittni was really encouraging us to connect with anyone, not necessarily like the people partnering, but like look at people. And that was a really good tip because I probably would have never thought to do that. And I did start to try to do that, which gave it more, I think it seems like you're very into like the relational connection, even if the piece wasn't about relationships,
Yeah.
but it was, but like just to help us more interact, even if it's just with our faces, you know, which I think was cool. Hi, everyone. Tracy in LA here. I just want to take a moment to talk to you guys about donations. If you've been liking either of my podcasts, Tracy in LA, the podcast that's about my personal life, or Dance Journey podcast, where I interview dancers and try to help dancers connect more with each other by sharing their stories and being authentic and encouraging and inspiring each other. If you're liking either of these podcasts, please consider donating. You can Venmo me at Tracy in LA, TracyInLA, just like my Instagram. I've been doing these podcasts I've been doing Dance Journey for a couple years now. I started the personal one a few months ago, and I love doing them. I feel called to do both of them for different reasons, but it does take a lot of time, the editing, the planning, the preparing, the shooting of them. And I have gone through all of my savings since I quit my corporate job a couple years ago, and I've just been relying on odd jobs here and there, people letting me live with them in exchange for taking care of their pets and organizing their house and things like that. And it's been amazing. God's been providing for me, but a lot of it is from people giving. So I just want to be a little more direct and open to telling you guys that I would love if you are listening to these and enjoying them. If you could give financially, that would be so helpful for me to keep going. Please Venmo Tracy in LA, or if there's another way you want to give, please reach out and I can give you any details you need for any way that is your preference for giving. And literally any amount helps, whatever makes sense for you in your current financial situation. I would just love it. I don't have commercials on here, and I don't make money from any of this, and it's a lot of work, and it is a labor of love. It's something that I love to do, but it is a lot. And if you're part of the community of listening to these podcasts, it would be so cool if you could also be part of my financial support. If you want to know more details about the money that I currently have and what I need, I talk about that pretty openly on my personal podcast. So if you want to hear those details, you can start listening to those. Or my email newsletter. You could sign up for my email newsletter. There's a link to that in my Instagram bio, and I send those out usually once a month, and I give more details about my money as well, and just tell fun stories and things God is doing. So yeah, thanks for listening to this. Thanks for considering donating, and back to the podcast.
I like when there's connection between the dancers because I feel like everything feels more connected. Like it's like that energy sort of between people. Mm-hmm. So like I feel like with this piece specifically, which was more about different people kind of coming into people's lives at different times, and kind of like people can come into your life for like a reason, a season, or like a lifetime kind of thing. And it's like a relationship that's very like, wow, you might just interact with someone like at a grocery market and that's it. And that's the last time, but maybe like how that instant sort of butterfly effects into like other relationships, and then maybe something that's like more of a toxic relationship and something that's more of like a long-term healthy relationship. So different, even like parent-child. So I kind of wanted to show people passing and like different relationships they have over their lifetime, which I think we accomplished pretty well.
Yeah.
But like I had to have that story in my head because I was like, I can't direct it if I don't know it.
Right.
And I think like with that, it was like very intentional. With like Choreomania, I was like, there's not as much like story between the dancers so much as it's just like a general feeling. But I was like, I need the connection because I feel like otherwise the disconnect won't work.
Yeah.
So
no, that was so good. I mean, that's probably something that's going to stick with me forever. Like even if if and when I start choreographing at some point. Not necessarily for LA Unbound, although maybe.
Yes.
I really do want to choreograph more at some point, but that, yeah, just like all these little tips I learned from everybody else that's choreographing, and that's something that really stuck out to me, and I think it told a good story, and I love when the choreographer has an actual story. Sometimes choreographers prefer to kind of like, you make it your own, which is totally cool, and that's definitely a choice. But I'm like, no, tell me what it is. Tell me what it's. And Brittni can say, I literally asked her like so many times, can you remind me the order of the relationships in the story?
But I feel like usually if you have a question, like somebody else does too. So it's like, okay, this is good. I'd rather say it 500 times and it like stick.
Yeah.
Because also for me, like sometimes when I'm dancing and I don't know, I feel like I don't perform as well because I have no idea what my intention is.
Right.
And I'm like, if I'm guessing, then the audience is definitely guessing.
Yeah.
So
especially when you're actually performing versus just learning choreography as fast as you can in a class. It's like, okay, now we have time to really think more about intention and really bring the style to it and not just doing the movements. So, and you're also good at like cleaning details. It was hard for me. I'm just like new to performing still, like on a stage, and just even the way you're like, oh, okay, some people, the way that they're kneeling on the floor, their front foot is really far in front, and some people have their feet closer together. So let's do it like this so that we're all the same. When you were giving us notes like that, I was a little overwhelmed because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to remember that I come down on this part. And now I have to remember that my foot needs to be closer. But when I'm watching it, I'm like, that's so good though, because it looks so much better when you fix those things. And not that we're 100% perfect on every single thing you noticed, but like I could tell that the things you told us. And also what I appreciate about you is that we were cleaning it early.
Yeah.
Like you finished it early and gave us so many weeks to be cleaning. And so even though I was overwhelmed initially, but then it was like, oh, well, now that we've been doing this for weeks and weeks, it is becoming muscle memory. I am actually getting the notes.
Yeah.
I can do this. I'm like, I'm capable. I can do this.
Oh, yeah. In general, like when I've choreographed, I feel like I'm so type A. So I choreograph everything ahead of time. And I do change parts sometimes once I've sat on it a little bit. But typically, like, I'm pretty good at sticking with 90% of it.
Yeah.
But how I work, and I know like everyone has their own ways and it all works for them, is I much prefer to set all the choreography fast. So I'm like, you have the material, it can sit in your body. Because I know for me, like the first couple times I'm learning things, just like in dance class, it's like you're trying to just get the choreo from your head to your body on time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's like it. So I'm like, once you have that, then you can start taking notes because it's actually like in your body. Versus I know a lot of people clean as they go, and I like wish I could be that kind of person. But for me, I'm like, okay, I'll get the choreography onto you. I'll make sure I like the choreography. And then I'll start cleaning it after.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that way, when it goes to stage, it's not a matter of like, I hope that no one felt like, oh, do I know the choreography? Like when I'm on stage, like I feel like everyone knew it, you know? Which I think has been the case with most of my pieces, I think. Like it felt like that too.
Yeah. I did mess up a tiny little part on the stage, one of the performance, and I am so mad at myself about that.
Oh my gosh, no,
but
it looked great.
I tried to cover it up. But even though that did happen, I will say I felt so confident about your choreography because we had done it so many times, and you did such a good job of just rehearsing it and giving us so many weeks to keep just cleaning and rehearsing, and where you weren't introducing new choreography in the last like 4 weeks, which everyone is different. Some people do kind of choreograph as they go, which is also a talent. I'm like, wow, that's cool that they can do that. Like, I wouldn't want to sign up. I'd be like, what if I can't figure out the rest of the choreography? Like, I'd want to do it all ahead, but
yeah, I know like everyone has their own flows. I know how I choreograph like doesn't work for everyone, and like cool, good for everyone. I feel like for me, it makes me feel in control of the situation. I'm like, okay, now I can layer this part, or like, because a lot of times I'm like, okay, I layer in like every piece. That's like how my brain works. But like sometimes I do it and I'm like, no, it still needs more. Or like, oh my gosh, there's too much going on. Like I need to like back it up a little bit. So being able to see that is helpful. Obviously when I'm like in my house choreographing, or like,
you can't see it.
I'm just myself. And then you like do it and you're like, okay, like this worked, this didn't. So
so the layering concept was kind of, that felt new to me. I think because the season before, I mean, I was in a piece where I was a dinosaur, and that was like a whole different type of thing. That was like almost like acting, but like to music. There was a little bit of dancing, and then it was like Jess's piece, but she did a lot of like groups that came in and out. So that was new. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be on the stage the whole time because I just didn't have really stage performance experience. And so I was like, oh, so we run off into the wings. Even that was like something to get used to. Like, oh, I run off into a certain wing. I had to kind of like really get my mind on straight for that. So Brittni's was kind of the first one because you were the first one to finish yours of all the pieces I was in, where you're like, and now we're going to do layering. And to be honest, like I did not know what that meant.
You're like, what do you
I was
mean?
like, okay. And if you don't know what that means, you probably do. But if you don't, it was just like we all learned kind of, for the most part, we all learned all the same choreography. There was like some parts that were different. For the most part, most of us learned the same thing. But then it was like, okay, now you and you are going to like, well, for the way Brittni did it, it was like you and you are going to pause on this part and like freeze this part while everyone else keeps doing the choreo. And then you're going to come back in on this other part. And when you started telling us this, I was like, what? I was like, I've been practicing this because I just had never done this before. And I was like, I've been practicing this so much. And it's not so much that I need to do those. I don't mind like being frozen on a certain part. I just didn't know how my brain was going to know to be frozen and then come back in. And how am I going to come back in? And now I have the muscle memory of just doing it, all of it. I was very stressed initially. But again, it's like every single thing. I was like, oh, wait, we still had so many more weeks to work on that. And then I realized like, oh, I'm fine. I can do this. It was a lot of growing for me. I'm like, oh, I can do this. No, I see how this works.
I feel like you did grow a ton during it. Like, I was so happy with the end product, like, still. I feel like with every one of my pieces, I've been, like, really happy. But, like, that one was, like, extra special, I feel like, to me. Because I was like, oh, like, I've been wanting to do that piece for a while. Oh. And I dabbled between songs. I got a couple songs for the concept. And then I, like, kind of tested it out on Jess and Danielle. Because I was like, if I do it, I want to do it well, and I want to have some of my partnering work figured out ahead of time so that I don't have to spend like the whole time teaching partnering. But then I ended up changing like massive chunks of it. But at that point I knew like, no, this can work. And then these are the relationships and this is the time that it's happening on. At one point I was going to have one person kind of going through all the relationships. But then I was like, I have so many amazing dancers. I want like everyone to be shown off. And I even wish I could have done like more. But there is a time limit. And
no, I think it was good. I think it was good how you did it. There was one, so in some of these more challenging contemporary pieces that I was in, I was really totally fine with being a little more in the back or like, just because it's such a challenge for me. And of course, the musical theater piece I was in, I was super visible and in the front. So that was like, oh, okay, this choreography is not as hard, but now I have to be like in the front, which is a different kind of challenge. So I was fine with mostly being sort of in the back, but there was one part in Brittni's where I feel like Willow sort of pushed me to the front. Like we were both kind of in the front and you were setting up the formation. And I think Willow, maybe she was just tired or something because she's always in the front because she's very good. And she kind of was like, oh no, Tracy was there. And she kind of like pushed me in the front. And I remember wanting to be like, no, I don't want to be here. I don't need to be here. But I felt this voice in my head be like accept it.
Yeah.
Accept it and just do your best. If you get fired from this position, that's fine, but just at least try, you know? And literally that one little section, I practiced that so much at home because I was like, I'm in the front of this part and I also can't really see anyone because I think the way we were like facing, I'm like, okay, I have to have the timing. I have to know what I'm doing. And it just really pushed me. And then it's cool because I got a couple of really nice photos of myself in that position. And I was like, okay, I did it.
I know exactly which part you're talking about too. No, you looked amazing. And I feel like those were a lot of my favorite things for like the partnering moments, like the moments where I'm like, they were choreography, but it was like how they were danced and the connection between everyone. I feel like that's what made it feel so good. And the energy with everyone was like really positive and great. And I was like, I mean, that was perfect.
I loved watching the piece, just watching the video that we have now. I'm like, this is so cool. You don't always know when you're just doing your part. Like I felt like it was cool, but when you really see it, you're like, and probably even for you because you're putting it together. You don't even know exactly what it's going to look like at the end.
I was so happy. Yeah, I was like, when you see it and you're like, no, this is what I wanted. You're like, oh, amazing. Like,
and Brittni also got us all these I really loved those sheer sparkly shirts. I thought they were so cute.
Honestly, and they looked really good. Yeah.
I really like them. So she like ordered that for all of us and also these little cute sparkly hair clips. And honestly, I loved that costume and I just thought it was really fun. So wow, we talked about that for so long, but I I think we were supposed to, because that was a really cool experience. And yeah, we're about to start a new Unbound season, so that's definitely going to be a big part of your dance life. And you're in how many pieces this season?
So 4. So I put
Okay.
2 days max because since still doing Katie Kovaltz on Saturday.
Okay.
For her
class
like, show, which will be
that's going to be a show.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like that's a day that I drive. So I was like, okay, that's great. That means I usually do Unbound like 3 days, or like do 3 like days of driving, I guess.
Because Brittni lives kind of further out of LA, so like that's what she's talking about. She this like long commute.
Yeah, I tend to like driving like 3 days. Because then I'm like, okay, I have down days where I'm like, oh, I can like chill with my dog or do laundry.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, stare at a wall.
You don't want to be driving that every day or like 4 times a week or something.
Yeah. And like, honestly, sometimes for work, I have to come down here anyway.
Oh, okay.
So it's fine, but it's not regular. So
Right.
I can't like plan around that.
Right.
But 3 days, it's like, oh, I have downtime. I could go to the gym. I could take a class. Because I think that's the one thing I realized during Unbound season is I do miss taking classes more.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that gives me the option to take class.
Right, because you'll have some nights.
Yeah.
Because basically, LA Unbound shows you the schedule ahead of time for the rehearsals, and you can like stack your rehearsals, so you can choose pieces based on like, okay, I just want to do rehearsals on Mondays and Wednesdays, or I'm going to try to get in these 2 pieces that are right after each other at this one place, so that, and they kind of, the choreographers kind of work with each other to make it easy for us, and they'll even like tell us that at the audition, like, if you want to take so-and-so's piece, I'm right after that, and so it's convenient. So yeah, I have a night like that where I have 2 after each other, and yeah, it makes it kind of nice to have more free nights, and I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, no, so that'll be good. So just driving Tuesday and Wednesday, so like 2 contemporary pieces on Tuesday and then a jazz funk, and I think it's like modern, but like maybe some other styles.
For which one?
For Jerry's.
Oh yeah,
It's
Jerry's
very unique,
combining.
like it's very pretty.
I also put his piece. So it's funny because me and Brittni both put 2 pieces that were overlapping, and we were both like, we would be happy with either of those.
They're both
and
so
then,
good. Yeah.
unfortunately, Brittni got one and I got the other, so I'm not even dancing with Brittni this season.
Like we're close by in theory.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But they're both going to be really cool pieces, and so yeah, Jerry's looked really cool. I guess he's combining a ton of elements like contemporary, jazz, funk. I don't even know, but he had a bunch of different styles, and when we watched it, it looked really
beautiful,
cool.
yeah.
So I was like, ooh, yeah, I would definitely not mind being in that one. But then I'm in the other one that also looked cool. I'm forgetting now which one was at the same time as
High
his,
School
but
Musical.
High School Musical,
Yeah.
which I am excited about being in that. So that'll be fun. But yeah, so you're going to do 2 nights of that, and you're still going to have Katie's kind of rehearsals, sort of,
So on Saturday. And then because there is a contemporary class I like taking on Thursdays, but I don't go every Thursday. I go when I feel like going on
And that's
Thursdays.
the one that's closer to your house.
Yeah, so it's like 20 minutes north of me in Camarillo at Motion Grounds.
Okay.
The teacher's name is Alexa.
Okay.
And I feel like their movement, you know how like certain teachers have their like go-to moves and like go-to styles? They have different styles of go-to moves that like aren't my go-to. So I feel like it's a good challenge to work on things that are different for me. And I really just enjoy her style of choreography. So it's like a good push, but also super positive vibes. Everyone there is really nice. I just don't like know anyone yet that much.
Okay.
Like I've met a couple people who are really, really nice, but not like Unbound where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like so many friends. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, LA Unbound. If you're trying to make friends, that experience gets you really bonded with people like pretty quickly usually. At least that was my experience, and I think that's a lot of people's experience, versus just like taking a class, which when you're just taking a class, you do eventually usually meet people, but it sometimes takes longer and more times of going. So
Yeah, no, it's like I like having that because I feel like having a regular class during my like rehearsal time kind of just holds me accountable to be like, okay, good, you're still practicing like these technical moves, or you're still like doing a really good warm up.
Yeah.
You know, at least that time during the week. And then sometimes hopefully still taking contas on Sundays. I do that a lot of weeks. It's just not, I don't do it every weekend.
she teaches ballet at Hama's on Sunday or Millennium.
Yeah. She does Hamas on Sunday.
Okay.
And then, so I love that class. And I usually go. I just don't go, I maybe go every other, I'd say. But I kind of am like, if it works for my schedule, I go. If I have something going on, I don't.
Yeah.
She teaches there also during the week, and I've like randomly been able to stop in. But that's the one I can count on since I don't work on Sundays. And I just feel like it's a really good like Sunday morning. I'm like, okay, like I can wake up, I can do this hour-and-a-half class, I'm dripping sweat, and I'm ready to like go do my day now.
Yeah. No, that sounds nice. It seems like, yeah, you have so much dance going on, and you have a regular, maybe not always exactly 9 to 5, but basically a 9 to 5 job.
Basically, yeah. So I'm an interior designer, which is actually really fun.
She always posts really cool pictures. I love houses, and whenever you post stuff, I'm like, okay, yes, that's the place I want to live. Like, they always look so pretty, and I don't know what you're talking about when you use your lingo, but I'm like, this is pretty, though. I don't know what it is, but.
Oh, that means so much. Yeah, no, it's great. I like my job a lot, but I feel like I'm like an artsy person. So I feel like kind of having an artsy job, I feel like dance is more like my outlet. Creativity-wise, it's a really fun job, but obviously, like, you're doing it for somebody else to enjoy. And I feel like when I choreograph something, it's like completely my own.
Yeah.
So I can have complete and total freedom of something. But I feel like it uses those same muscles.
How long have you been doing interior design?
Since 2017, but like the very beginning of 2017. I like went back to school for design and then started interning like the same year I did that. So,
so for a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I've worked for various companies. I've had like fantastic experiences with that industry. I know like you have like some overlap with that too.
Yeah. I used to work for a fabric company. So we were part of the interior design, but sort of a specific part.
Yeah. I feel like I got really lucky because I couldn't do like a regular desk job. Like I work at a desk. Like I like a good amount of my days.
You're traveling around, there's doing
like,
things.
Yeah, like every day's different, every project's different, people are different. Like it's fun. And I feel like we get cool jobs, cool clients. My boss and my coworker are like super cool. I feel like I got really lucky. So that's where I'm like, okay, that's
you're
a
like,
good
this
thing.
is a good, like, you're feeling good with your life of this job during the day and dance stuff around that on nights and weekends. Would you ever envision that changing, or you're like, no, I think this is a good setup for as long as it wants to go?
The only thing I want to add in a dream world is I would also love to like teach a class sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Recently I actually saw like a job posting for after work, a local studio, and I was like, oh, do I apply? And I like wanted to, but then I was like, do I have the time? Will it become more of a hassle than like something I enjoy? Because I feel like I have good balance with my life right now. And I was like, at that point, it really wouldn't be for the money if you're doing it like once a week. You know, like it's like, okay, you're doing it for yourself, which is fun. And I was like, I'll think about it. And then I decided, you know what, like right now I have good balance. My job, sometimes the weeks are super chill. Sometimes it's like more demanding and I need to be there more hours. Cool. So like having an extra add-on, I was like, okay, maybe at some point I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll do less Unbound or like something and then add a little bit more teaching in. Because I do like teaching, but I also think right now I actually just love dancing.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty fulfilled with that.
You should just do like pop-ups every once in a while if you are in the mood to create choreography, because I know a bunch of us would love to come to your class, because I have been to, I mean, I was in Brittni's piece last time, but also I guess for me it was just that one time that you did the Unbound class, but I really liked that.
Oh, thanks. I actually really like that combination. I kind of wish I
did too.
Something with that.
And like if you do that in the future, that was really fun. I love that one.
Yeah, I think what's funny is I feel like for a long time in my like contemp era, but then recently I feel like I've been getting more back like jazzy, because that was definitely like jazz.
Right.
But I was like, I feel more inclined to like choreograph more in that style. But recently I was like, okay, I need to save money, so I'm like not gonna choreograph this season.
So yeah, one thing is so LA Unbound is very cheap for dancers because you just pay like a small registration fee that's usually like $40, but the choreographers actually generally have to pay for their own space to have their rehearsals. So yeah, you're saving money to not do it, but it's amazing to do.
It's definitely like well worth it. It's just a matter of like, okay, like having a break is a good thing. So I was like, okay, but just because I'm not choreographing to set something for the show doesn't mean I like can't choreograph. So I like have a piece I want to start working on because I have inspiration, you know?
Nice.
But I don't know where to like set it or like what to set it on. So I was like, you know what? I just need to create the choreography and then I can figure out, is it something I save for like a future Unbound season? Is it something I like figure out something else for? Or is it something I just like keep to myself and like love, and that's cool too, you know? So.
And some people this season did classes with the choreography that they did for the show, or I remember them doing the choreography in the class that they like a pop-up class, and then I remember them saying, I might do this for the show, I'm kind of playing around. And I think it allowed them to see it on other people and be like, do I want to do this for the show? And then they did, the people that said that they were gonna maybe do it for the show. So you could also just like still do it as a class, and then you could still do it for a show.
Yeah,
if you
totally.
wanted to.
Exactly. I feel like if you look for it, there's a lot of good dance opportunities around LA and like other places to like show your work.
True.
So I was like, okay, if I did a little bit of research, I could probably find something else too. It's more just I need to make sure like how exactly I'm going to set it, and then like how many people you'd want, or like what's the best like medium is to like show it.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, it's cool. It's encouraging that you like how your life is right now. I know we'll probably have to tell this in a shortish way, but I do want to still know like kind of how you got into dance and if you knew when you were young that it was going to kind of stay as a hobby, or if you were like, if when you were young you were like, I want to be like a full-time dancer. I'm kind of like curious about that. But when did you start dancing?
I started dancing when I was 4, but...
And did you grow up in California?
Yeah, like in the Valley.
Okay.
Which is where we're currently sitting.
Yeah. So. You're like right here. I grew up right here.
Yeah. And so I started dancing. Dancing when I was 4, and then I can't remember if it was middle school or high school, but at some point, like either late middle school, early high school, I switched because I wanted to go to like a more intense studio. Because my first studio was like super good vibes, very chill. Like I was like I learned moves, but I wasn't given like really good training, which is fine because I feel like that's what allowed me to fall in love with dance, and I'm really happy. But if you wanted to like grow, it was like, okay, I should go to a more professional studio. So I switched to my friend's studio.
Wait, and how old were you when you switched? How did you say?
I was either like late middle school or early high school, somewhere right around there.
Okay.
So that was like a good push. It's like some of my friends switched too. And then...
Now, did that studio have competitions and stuff, or was it just, like, better training?
Yes. And so I auditioned for their company, and I did not make it.
Okay.
My best friend did, which was great for her.
That's hard.
No, it was, like, fine, though. I was, like, not a good dancer then. Like, I'm, like, no, like, honestly, though. No, like, I wasn't.
Okay.
And I'm not even bluffing. Like, I wasn't a good dancer until... Okay, so that was middle school then. Because then in 9th grade, I auditioned for my high school dance team. And they put me on it, and I made JV because, I mean, I don't know if this is like the only reason, but okay, we had to do a candlestick turn, which if you don't know, it's like you're basically doing like a turn around yourself, but you grab your leg.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never done one of those before, and I just kind of went for it, and I fell flat on my butt, and I got right up, and I just kept doing the choreography. And they were like, okay, we saw how hard she's like trying. She can like push, like she can do it. So I got JV because I was nowhere... I was like a push for JV at that point even, let's be real.
And probably doing it out here, there's so many dancers.
Well, at that point, I really wasn't good, like just to be honest. Like I just wasn't. And then my high school coaches were like the best thing for me. Like they worked me and they taught me, they gave me really good feedback, really good corrections, and they just worked with me. And then I would practice like crazy. And then that's what made me good. It wasn't because I was like never naturally good. I worked really hard, and then I had people who saw that in me. And so then they were able to help give me the feedback to where, because I'm like, I'll take a correction. To me, if you're not giving me correction, that's where I'm more like, you know, I'm like, I'm not perfect. I know I'm far from perfect. So like, please tell me what I need to do to change my body to like get where I need to go. And so they really worked with me. And then the next year I made varsity, which like was all them. Like they did that.
Since this was your high school team, did you guys do competitions?
Yeah, so we did competitions. We actually won nationals our like senior year, so that was great. We did for like lyrical and then also hip hop, but I was not on the hip hop team. Like I did not do like the hip hop at all. Like I was.
So did most of your life?
I was the only person not in it. In fact, actually.
That's funny. Most of your life? Did you do more like ballet and lyrical?
I grew up doing ballet, jazz, tap, and that was like the classes I took. High school was the first time it was more like theatrical sort of jazz, like not musical theater, but just like it was more performance based. So we did that. We did song team. So it was like every Friday night at like, football games, which to be honest, like I loved like pom and song style.
Tell me. I've had someone on here talk about song team before, but I forgot. Can you explain what that is exactly?
So, like, as dance team, we were required to be song girls, essentially. So, like, the only song girls were dance team. It's like we're the same thing with 2 names, basically. But basically, we would perform at the football games. I think there was, like, a couple basketball games we had to do. Those were easy. Like, the football games was more, like, long, and you're, like, on the side for, like, a really long time. And then for homecoming, you do the halftime show. So that was, like, a real dance that we do. But it was always, like, Again, my high school coaches were great. They had like really fantastic, fun choreography, usually pretty themed and like really at high energy, really good performance based. And then we performed at all the rallies. So sometimes we do like a dance, and then other times we do a combination thing like with the cheerleaders when we're more like as the song people. So it kind of depended on the rally and on the thing. But I really liked it because probably my best style, if I'm being honest, is more that like pom song, like very like smiley. That stuff makes a lot of sense to my body. And I mean, I like it. Like that's fun for me. I haven't done it like.
I know, like I haven't really seen you do it, but that's cool.
Yeah. So I haven't really done that style since then. And that was when I first started doing contemporary, since we'd like compete with that or even show it sometimes like at school events or
Okay.
what have you. And then and at competitions. And honestly, in the way that a lot of studios have a lot of like competitiveness, my dance team, it's like we were all super, super tight and really good energy.
Nice.
Like it was very communal, really good because it was like we weren't competing against each other. We were competing as a group.
Right.
Where I know some high schools did like, oh, like some people do solo, some people like people would have like a solo within a dance, but not.
Okay. You were always competing as a group.
We're all doing the same dance. Like we all want the dance to do well. So
Did you now? I feel like you're always getting lifted in
yeah.
LA Unbound pieces that I've seen you in. Was that happening back then or no?
Sometimes like there was a couple like small lifts we did, but like not as much really. Like honestly, I feel like Unbound is when they started really lifting me and I was like, all right, I'm going up. Like, here we go. So I'd like done a couple and I think even like I did some partnering work when I was in college a little bit, but Unbound is when they kind of started just like throwing me up in the air and I was like, all right, here we go. You know?
And I feel like you're very good at it. You're very comfortable.
I'm comfortable with it.
It seems like you're comfortable. That's cool. So then when you were doing all that dance, did you know what you wanted to do in college already or?
So I auditioned to get into like the school that I got into, but I auditioned for my backup schools because I had like okay grades. Like I was like A and B student. But for schools that were like reach schools, I was like, I will dance because I can't get in here with just my grades.
Okay.
And so for UC Irvine, I like got in. I auditioned. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then I got in. And then I started out as a dance major, and then I actually dropped my dance major because I kind of got in my head a little bit of like, wow, everyone's really good. And I was like, I'm good, but I was like, what am I going to do with this? And then I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess I could just audition. Like, at first I was like, maybe I'll double major instead, but then I would have had to take over 20 units a quarter every quarter to graduate on time. And at that point, I was like, I love dance, but I was like, I didn't know whether I wanted a career in it or not. I just wanted to dance.
Right.
And so I like loved the classes, but I just realized double majoring is not an option for me. And then they don't have a dance minor. So that was not an option. So then I just talked to my counselor and they're like, well, you can still take all your dance classes and audition for classes and then you can just like, you don't get a degree in it. I'm like, that's fine. Like as long as I can still take the dance classes, like I don't care if I have a signature that says like you did it,
yeah.
You know? So
that's funny because when I was in college, I ended up taking a bunch of different writing classes for fun, but I wanted to pick all the ones I wanted, so I didn't get a writing minor, but I actually had so many like units in writing, kind of similar just to like do what you want with it.
Yeah. So I never did a quarter without dance. Like I always did it. And I think I actually grew the most through those classes because I wasn't like worried about, oh, am I like being the best at this in my class. I was like, I can just like really do this for fun at this point, which kind of took the pressure off. So that was kind of an ego bruise because I was like, oh, I like got into this like really hard program. But then I was like, I think it kind of gave me that freedom to just fall in love with dance again and just audition for like shows and stuff. So I still did Greek Song Fest and choreographed that and like do you know Santi? He danced with Unbound.
Sounds familiar, but I can't picture him.
And he also did like a piece for NACHMO. But he wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
But like I did 2 of his thesis projects. And then I did a fun project for Molly Lynch, who was like a dance teacher at the school too. So I was able to still perform.
That's cool. Because everyone was like still kind of knew you and because you were doing dance stuff anyways.
Like, then there's a lot of dancers in the non-major classes who are just like me. Theater people who weren't dance majors. Or like people who dropped the major and just like wanted to dance. There was like a lot of talent in there and everyone was really friendly and communal. So we still got to take like the same professors. And then, so I still got Molly Lynch, Diane Diefendorfer, and all these people who are like amazing. And
that's
then
so cool.
There's this woman, Leanne, who's like my favorite teacher ever. She does this thing and like I do it at the end of my classes because I just like loved it. But she would teach you all this choreography. And then at the end, she might do a jazz piece or a contemporary piece. And she'd say at the end, like, switch the song and just, like, make it your own. Like, take this choreography and just take what you like.
That's what you did for us.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, because at the end, when it was right before we were going to perform Brittni's piece in this last Unbound season, one of the last rehearsals, because we'd already cleaned it so many weeks in a row. And then you put, because I'm trying to remember what you did, you put a different song on. Yeah. And you said to do the same choreography, but you could kind of do it at your own, like everyone's doing it at their own different parts of it or your own timing, but still just do the moves. Actually, at first when you said we were going to do that, this is like my reaction at the beginning of everything you said last season. I was like, oh, I'm just like, I just don't always love improv. I mean, it's not totally improv, but like it sort of is. And I was like, can we just do like the song, you know? But then once we started it, and you also recommended really connecting with other people, which also I was intimidated about. But actually, once we started doing it and I was getting into it, I really enjoyed that process. And I thought that was really cool. And it actually really helped me to even just like explore the moves more and like hold different things longer and get it in my body in a different way, and also connecting with other dancers in whatever way because we were a little more free.
Yeah.
That was really good. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I took it from her because I loved that. It helped me learn almost how to improv more because I was like, oh, I could just take a set of choreography I've learned before and just manipulate the heck out of it until it's like, it's not the same choreography at all, but it's just movement that's guiding my direction. And I think like it's easier to think about instead of being like, what do I do? It's like, okay, I'm going to start doing something like this. We'll see where I go with it.
Yeah, it actually really helped me. It was like it was not improv, but it was easier than improv because we were doing the moves already that we were doing for the piece. But it leads into some improv in some ways. And that was amazing because I'm not always good at improv. So it was like a cool way to kind of explore without being completely like, what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool. So yeah, so you had all that cool experience in college but you studied interior design in school.
So I got my degree in social ecology, which I got it so I could go back to school for design. I kind of was like, I need a bachelor's, and I knew I wanted to do design at this point, but I was too far in my program. So I was like, okay, I'll graduate, I'll get a bachelor's, and I'll go back for my certification. But it was cool because while I was studying abroad and stuff, I danced on a ballroom team in England and stuff like that. Okay. So that was fun to be like, I got all these different random experiences in college, but it was not because of my dance major, it was because I could just have the window into this and kind of okay, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I have a question for you about that. Because so many different people ask you to be in their dances, and probably a lot of your life this has been happening. Is it kind of if someone asks you, you're like, sure, as long as I can fit it in my schedule? Or do you sometimes want to really know well, what is it about? Do you have ways that you decide if you're going to dance in someone's piece when people in your college ask you to be in their pieces or anything?
No, I think it just vibe too. If you're okay, the person's nice and easy to work with. I worked a lot with Santi, and I feel like he's just such a good person to work with. It's just the energy, how they create movement. Obviously, certain things click better with me in my brain, but I think just as long as the concept was there and I aligned with it and I understood it and I felt it, I was kind of open. Did
you ever, not that you don't need to say exactly what it was, but did you ever dance for someone that asked you to be in their piece, in college or whenever, where you were kind of maybe I wish I hadn't done that? Did you ever feel like that?
I don't know if I was I wish I hadn't done it, but I was maybe I wouldn't do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, where I'm okay, more dance training is good dance training. Yeah. It's doing something more, but it's a piece that I had done my freshman year of college. It was cool and the person was great and stuff like that. It was more it was very ballet focused, but I just didn't feel I aligned with it that well. And I was I felt I could dance it well, but I was just kind of uninterested. Okay. So I was okay, I'm going to work hard because obviously I don't want to go and perform this bad. But I was I'm not as interested in this versus some of Santi's pieces. I felt really connected to the other dancers. We could really tell a really nice story together. Yeah. I felt it was just a different experience. Yeah.
And obviously, as you get to know different people and, when you were working with him, you're okay, yeah, I would definitely work with them again because now I know I, love working. I love their pieces or whatever. So, obviously, yeah, that makes sense. So, you went to grad school?
So, went to UCI, then I studied abroad, and then I graduated. And then basically, right around the time I started going to design school is when I started auditioning for Unbound.
Okay. But, how did you hear about it initially?
Google. At that point, I was do I want to dance professionally? And I did, but I was scared. I was scared of the idea of your money. I'm a big stability person. I'm a calculated risk person where I'm okay, I just need enough stability so that I don't have wild anxiety.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of realized at first I was okay, maybe I'll teach. Nothing was really aligning or fitting. And then I was you know what, I think I'm just going to go back to school. I'll get a regular job. If I get a gig, great. If I just dance for fun, great. I just need to be dancing, but not relying on that for my money was freeing. Because I think there was times, I guess I have regret about it, but what can you do? I worked also when I was in college as a kid's cheer coach, which was really fun. It wasn't bad money, but it's by the time I drove to the school, set up, did all the choreo, like taught them, and they were like really, really little. So like they couldn't, there's like limitations.
Yeah.
And they were great, and it was like fun to do that. But I did that for like, I don't know, maybe less than a year. It was like a season, whatever the season was. And it was fun. My boss there was like an old Chargers girl, and she was great. And I was like, oh, I would love to do that kind of thing. And then I kind of just wimped out. Like I didn't go to auditions. When you're like, oh, I like want to, but then I was too afraid to make the step to like go for it. So I kind of, like in retrospect, like not that I would have made it, but it would have been fun to just do it do it.
Yeah.
But I think I was like a little bit more afraid of rejection back then. So I didn't do it, and I probably made some excuse of like, oh, I'll just go away this weekend instead. And I like did, but also if I wanted to that badly, I would have been like, oh, I'll just go away a different weekend.
Yeah.
That was the only kind of like professional thing I ever wanted, was more of like a cheerleader dancer style. Because I was like, that's what I was better at. Like, I'm like a good technical dancer, but like I feel like for ballet or like contemporary, you have to be insanely good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is where I stand a chance. But yeah. So,
and then when you found Unbound, did you feel like, okay, I'm content with this amount of dancing as far as like performing and things?
Yeah, like I think it was like a good segue into getting back into like the LA dance community.
Okay.
The first audition I ever did for Unbound was virtual. Because I think it was also like, I travel a lot. I was like a weekend warrior. So I travel just like all the time on the weekends, or just like go hiking somewhere or whatever. And so I was out of town again. And then I was like, okay, I like don't even know what this organization is, but like I'll just do it, whatever. And it was a cool piece. It was just like I just did one my very first season, and it was like a good experience. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that again. And I liked it. But at my very first show, which was at the El Portal, which is a very cool theater,
yeah,
I realized when you're sitting backstage for like kind of a long time, you're like, this is a lot of time to be like sitting for like one dance,
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, like, I don't know if like you felt that.
The first season I was in 2 pieces, which practicing wise, I felt like that was enough for me during that time, just being my kind of one of my first stage performances for dance. But one of them was in the first act, one of them was in the second act, and I was sitting a lot, and I did think, okay, maybe I could do like another piece next time.
Yeah. And then I did 2 most seasons after that, because I was like, okay, 2 is good. But then 3 is like my sweet spot. 4, I'm probably going to be a little bit overwhelmed, but I'll be fine.
I know. I did 4 last season, and I was like, that was kind of a lot. This season I'm doing 3, and I'm like, you know what? I think that's a good amount. Yeah.
I think what I've just realized, like, love Unbound, love having that in my life. I do like a little bit more dance, a little more versatility, where it's like I like having this community and then also like taking class. Mm-hmm. And then at one point I was going to do the Camarillo studio that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Motion Grounds. They do their performance team, and
I
was like, they're like, oh, like you should audition there like June 6th, but that's the same day as Katie's show. And I do want to like do that show. That's going to be really cool. So I was like, you know what? Another year, we'll do that. But it was like cool. I was like, okay, like the more I just look, there's a lot of different communities like this.
That's so cool. It's like the more you get to know people and the more you're taking dance class, or if you just do even one show, then you hear about another show. I know so many people from Unbound last season ended up performing in different shows because they just like met people and they're like, oh, come do this piece with me. And it's definitely, if you don't live in LA and you want to dance, come to LA because there's just so much opportunity here. Like obviously, I'm sure in New York as well, and I'm sure there's other places too, but it is really cool how you can just have a regular job but still have this amazing dance outlet with so many different organizations. And I mean, obviously you've also had a lot of training, so it's helpful when you have the training so that people are more interested in like using you, even if that's not your full-time thing. And it is, I'm sure, very nice to not have to worry about like money or getting paid for it. And sometimes that's a good option for people, especially so they don't lose the love for it. Because I know this is not every case, but I've heard dancers who it is their full-time thing and they're just getting gigs all the time. It's awesome, but also sometimes when something becomes a job, in some cases, it can take away some of the joy of it.
That's kind of what I felt like when I was a major. After I studied abroad, I kind of fell in love with like a different style of dance. Like I'd never done ballroom or like Latin before then. I just was like, oh, I need to make friends because I like don't know anyone. Or I knew like a couple people, but I wanted to like make more like local friends, And it was like, oh, dance is a way to make friends and connection. It was cool because I was learning a totally new style and different style of partnering that I'd never done. But it was great because it was like, oh, I can fall back in love with something that I've never really done. And so when I came back, I was like, I just want to keep performing and dancing. Like, I don't care what that looks like. That's kind of like what sets my soul on fire a little bit, where I'm like, would love to get paid for it, but like, that's okay. I'd rather have my stability somewhere else and then be like, dance in projects that feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I wish I could see you do some kind of ballroom. I feel like I could picture I feel like I could picture you doing like so great at that.
It was a really fun, and also like my partner I got paired with like the best person. Shout out Liam. No, he was great. He was like a competitive ice dancer.
Okay.
So like I was a trained non-ballroom dancer, but trained dancer, and he was a trained ice dancer.
Wow.
So like we were competing more at like a beginner level because we had never competed ballroom before, but also we were like, we both know how to move. And so he knew how to like lead and like partner, whereas like a lot of men who I partnered with when you're doing that style don't know how to like, it's like you literally wait for like their leg to like push your leg. Like it's not like you don't go before they go.
Right.
So it's like, but they actually have to know how to lead in order for you to like do it properly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got good training because he knew how to partner really well. So
That's so
was
cool.
really fun. Yeah.
I love that you got to do that. And where were you at when you were doing that?
I was in the middle of nowhere. I was in Kent in England and like literally in Canterbury. So like if you ever heard like Canterbury Tales, I was like there.
Oh my gosh.
But we competed like all around England at like all these different universities. So we go on like these bus rides for forever. It was
so
honestly
cool.
such a fun like random experience that I like forget about a lot. But it was great, and it was like best people, like really cool. A lot of like international students, like a lot of like local people. I think I was the only like American person. Actually, no, there's one other guy from Boston. But it was cool. But I haven't been able to do it since I got back here because the classes are so expensive.
Yes, the partnering or salsa or any kind of ballroom classes out here, because I have a friend that's into that, they're so much more expensive, and sometimes it's only for 45 minutes too. Some of them are short.
Yeah.
And you're paying like, I don't know, $35 for like a 45-minute session. And yeah, I think you have to really love it to be like, I don't know why they're able to make it cost so much.
I have no idea. And also like, so low-key, if anyone knows any like good partnering like Latin ballroom, like please tell me. I've been looking. Would love to do that again. But
that'd be so cool. I would love to watch you do that. It would be cool if, well, I don't know if, I mean, I'm like, could Unbound do a piece like that? I guess they could.
They could,
that would just be so fun to watch.
It would be really fun. There's like one studio that I still have like my eyes on where I'm like, oh, I need to try it out. It's more like when you know just enough the basics where you're like, okay, I don't need to be like taught the basics, but I do want to be taught more material. So I don't want to just go like socially dance it. Like I want to learn how to like improve this, you know? But I feel like it's a very specific request.
But I think people, at least my friend who's into salsa dancing and maybe bachata or something, but yeah, she goes to classes, but it took a while for her to finally get out of her comfort zone to start trying to go to some like social, like, do it socially. But I'm pretty sure she learned and grew a lot from then doing it in those kind of scenes, because you're just dancing with so many different people and you're kind of learning and growing as you're doing it more and in like a more improv type of way.
Yeah.
So mixing it probably really helps a lot of growth as well.
Totally. And I think too, because like the one that I think I really want to go back to do if I could, like, because we learned a lot of different styles, but my favorite was definitely like waltz and then jive, which is like West Coast swing, but it's like jive when you're in England. That's where I'm like, oh, West Coast swing, there's so many cool tricks that like I don't know and I like would like to know. But you have to have partners who like really know how to do some stuff. Yeah. You know?
I'm sure there's a whole scene, but you know, because you have so much extra time to just add in all these different styles and everything.
It's like somehow you just make time, right? You're like, oh, I'll just find another way to like stack this in. Yeah. You know?
And it's not like you know, don't have a family or anything else to do or like a home to take care of, you know,
only
or animals or anything. But we don't have time to get into all of that. But I know you have so much going on in your life. But it's just so encouraging to hear that you've figured out. I've interviewed many people who've just figured out a good balance to like have more of a stable money situation, but also do dance, and who really are happy like that. So you're another one of those, which is might inspire someone who's going back and forth about that or isn't sure. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like we talked a lot, and I don't know that I have any other questions. Was there anything else you wanted to share or any advice you'd want to give to any dancers out there?
Advice, I guess. I think just like as someone who was not a natural like skills person, I think people see me now so they like know me as like the better version of myself. Yeah, exactly. When I say I like was not good, like I actually wasn't good. It's not like I was like kind of bluffing, like people worked with me and that's why I'm good. It's just that like keep pushing sort of thing and like keep trying to figure out where you can grow and just like don't get down on yourself, because like I think it's really easy to get in your head. I do this all the time, like even while I'm like in a class, I'm like I have my little like self-talk going on in my head. constantly, but I think it's just like a good reminder, just like keep pushing through that, keep improving because it works. And like the more you practice, like the more you will get better. And I think obviously like natural skill is a real thing. Like it's great when that for people that have it, but I also think like you can get really far by just pushing yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's the love of it that can really push you. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, like I started kind of dance, like really focusing on dance much later in life than most people, but I'm so grateful. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I wasn't blessed with all this natural dance talent necessarily, but I think I was really blessed with a strong love for dance. And I think that's the case for many of us, and you included. And that is what drives you to want to keep pushing. And obviously it goes together. So if you really love it, have the discipline to keep pushing. Because even if you love something, you can still get kind of lazy. Or you might not even know that it's worth it. Like when I had taken a few dance classes here and there when I was younger, I didn't know there was this whole world where I could like actually commit and get better until much later. And when I started seeing improvement over time, it was like an adrenaline rush. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm doing that better now. Wait, if I take more classes, I'll get better. And I almost got too obsessed with classes. I know you might think I'm obsessed with classes now, but actually I was way worse before. This is actually like kind of low key for me right now. And I had to learn like, actually you can take breaks, and when you allow your body to breathe, you can grow from that too. So there's definitely a balance, and I feel like you found a really good balance. So I would definitely take that advice as well. But yeah, definitely good advice to just like knock it down on yourself, keep pushing, like you will improve. If you're doing something more, you're going to get better, even if you don't always see it because it's happening slowly. But like you said, even doing a dance piece that maybe you didn't love as much as your other ones, but still you're growing. You still grow, so.
I also think like half the reason I love like really good teachers like Terry or like Connor or whoever is because the reason I'm good is because I've had good teachers. Yeah. And I think to me, it's like people who know how to teach and how to correct, that to me is gold. Yes. Like that's what like it's like when those things click, it's like life-changing. And so I think that's why I'd be like more inspired to teach, is because it's like, oh, like if you could make that difference in someone else's life, that's helpful. Yeah. So I think just like having those really good teachers who give you those really good corrections is like, that's everything to me. Yeah. So just to take more classes like that and like hopefully one day be able to like teach more classes like that, because whenever I have teachers that give just really good feedback, like even someone who subbed Connor's class the other day, or maybe it wasn't even Connor's class. It was somebody who subbed a ballet class at Hama the other day. Yeah. And she was just giving really good corrections about like sort of how to dance at the bar, like dance essentially, not like going through the movement. Yeah. And it was like just very specific, like, okay, the head's gonna go just a little in during this movement. And it wasn't like your normal port de bras, it wasn't like your normal, but it felt really good because she knew how to give the direction at the exact cue for you to feel good and feel controlled. And that's where I'm like, oh, those good teachers, like.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to remind you quickly that if you haven't bought my book, The Tracy in LA Newsletters 2010, please get it. It's on Amazon. You can get the paperback version or you can get the Kindle version. It is a compilation of a bunch of actual letters I wrote and sent in the actual mail back in 2010, when I was first living in LA pursuing acting. A bunch of my friends who didn't live in LA thought it was so interesting that I was pursuing acting and wanted to hear more about it. So I basically just am super vulnerable. I talk about all the things I was going through, the doubts I was having, the struggles I was having, finding agents, getting auditions, making friends, visiting different churches, like totally just pour myself out in these letters. And I didn't really necessarily think I would ever publish them, but I went back all these years later and decided to edit them, change some names, and make it in a way where I could actually publish it and release it to the public. So that's what this is. I'm working on the 2011 letters right now. I have quite a few years that I did this, and people really liked it when I did it initially. And now I've gotten some good feedback on the book as well, even from people that like never read it initially or didn't know me back then. It sort of feels like a period piece now because it's like from 2010. So some of the language I use is just different. And, I talk about burned CDs and things like that. So anyway, I think it's kind of fun, and hopefully you could relate because most of you probably are in LA doing similar things. So I hope you can get it and enjoy it. And if you like it, please leave a review on Amazon, and yeah, let me know what you think, and thank you for your support. That's so true. And obviously we talk about a lot of good teachers on this podcast, so check out all the podcasts. But I know for myself, like Edge had so many good teachers. And so I loved taking most of my classes there. But when they closed down in the pandemic, I was kind of frustrated because I was like, well, first of all, I was just so sad because I loved that place. But also I was just like, oh, now I have to go explore dance classes. I was like kind of annoyed to have to do that. But actually it became sort of a fun adventure, just like trying different classes and deciding like, and maybe it doesn't mean they're a bad teacher, just might not be like the kind of teacher you're looking for in the season you're in or whatever. So it was kind of fun to just explore and try different ones. And it was kind of a whole journey and adventure in itself. But then once I got settled, I'm like, oh, I can tell that these specific teachers are helping me specifically where I'm at right now with the corrections they're giving and the type of choreography they're doing and the type of warm-ups or whatever training they're doing. Even during the pandemic, actually, because I was taking virtual classes out of New York, Broadway Dance Center during that time. And I was just trying every kind of class that fit in my schedule. So that's when I got into musical theater and some different things. And I had never taken contemporary before. I took a beginner contemporary because I never heard of beginner contemporary until New York had that option. And there was a teacher that, oh my gosh, he was so good at corrections and really helping us grow. And even though it was virtual, I got so much out of it. And there was a point when it was like, I think his schedule was going to change, but I had my day job that I worked at home during that time. And I was like, oh no, if it changes to this time, I'm not gonna be able to go anymore. And this is the only teacher. I used to have so many classes and now it's a pandemic and I'm like, this is the only teacher that's helping me grow. What am I going to do? So I literally wrote him out of nowhere. I found his website or something. And cause I wasn't even on social media at the time. And I wrote him on his website and I just gave this long letter of how much I appreciate his classes and does he ever do private virtual lessons? Because I don't want to lose his class because I think his schedule's changing and I can't work it in my schedule and whatever. And actually, I started taking private lessons with him for a year and a half.
That's really
virtually.
Cool. Yeah.
And actually, I grew so much. People that see me today might be like, okay, you're a mediocre contemporary dancer or something. But if you saw me before that, I had never done contemporary. The first time I tried to go to the floor or come off the floor, he just laughed at me and said I looked like a grandma. So, but he taught me how to do it better. And I worked with him to do it more gently and smoothly. And I learned so much from that. I'm so grateful for that time. And I know he's seen my videos today and been wow, the improvement, just how far I've come in contemporary is crazy. But it's because I found a really good teacher. And once you feel like someone's really helping you, honing in on that and going regular, it doesn't mean you have to have a private. I had a lot more money back then when I had my corporate job and I couldn't spend any money because of the pandemic. I was sure, I can shell out money for this. And I mean, he gave me a good deal and everything, but just going consistently to a regular class doesn't have to be a private class, but just honing in on the classes that are helping you. And I've been doing that for such a long time now that I am able to grow and try to keep up with the people that have been learning since they were 3, and I'm not quite there, but it's a fun challenge to be okay, I'm going to try to keep up with everybody.
No, you definitely hold your own. I mean, I think also I came from my teachers not in high school, at my studio in high school, the competitive studio, that were why are you missing all these classes? Because I had games that I had to cheer on top of the same class. There's no way I could be in 2 places at once. There was only so many options.
Yeah.
And they're why are you doing these auditions and stuff? You're never gonna make it. And so, and they were so mean. And so then, so mean. But I feel I was watch me kind of thing. Yeah. And that's when I was I better make it into college for this, But it was one of those things where they were more the break you down and to kind of build you up, and I'm I don't work like that. Yeah. So I realized that wasn't a good fit for me. And maybe it is good for some people, but for me, it's not good. It's not a good fit. But that's when I started going to Millennium, and I also randomly danced Dimensions after that. And they were great too. But at the end of my senior year, because I was I'm not going to dance for these people anymore. It's not good. It's not a good fit. Energy wise, if someone's telling you you're not good and you're not going to make it, you're could you just not?
You're maybe this isn't the right atmosphere for me.
Exactly. I was this is not a good fit. And my mom was definitely not chill with him talking to me like that. She's we're paying a lot of money for these classes. So, excuse me. And I'm still dancing at my high school. So, you had to take studio classes. You couldn't be on the team without, taking class.
Oh, okay.
So I randomly switched to, Dance Dimensions for a little bit, which great studio, really
Dance
then.
Dimensions.
But I was randomly taking class there, and that's when I actually started first taking class at Millennium with Kana.
Okay.
And that was kind of cool because it's here I am so many years later, still taking her class.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Because it's when a teacher sticks, that feels good. And I know teachers are different for everyone. You're wow, some people just really know how to teach, or really like you understand their way of teaching and like how they cater to you. And then I feel like even my college professors were just really good, and like they weren't easy, but they really knew how to like teach anatomically, like, okay, we're stacking our bones and like all this stuff. And it's like your pelvis is stacked on top of, like whatever. It was a very like anatomical versus like my earlier classes were like, okay, there's like a weird ballet analogy for how you're moving through this thing. And I was like, this makes no sense. So being guided from teachers that maybe weren't a good fit to like ones that were a good fit, maybe really extra appreciate those classes and like really value that. So I feel like that was my biggest thing growing up, was like, wow, value those, and like those people are going to really help you grow.
And it's just so crazy. I know we're going so over. We're going to end soon, but it's so crazy, like the amount of teachers that just stick to teaching dance for so long. And they're so passionate out here. I have danced in other places, and I'm sure there's passionate teachers everywhere, but the amount of passionate teachers in LA who just love it, and I don't know if they're even making, I mean, I think most dance teachers aren't making a ton of money. Maybe some of them are, but like the fact that they love it so much to really care and correct people and keep doing it for years and years and years. And some of them well into like an age that maybe some people would say, wow, they're still dancing. But like I've seen it so many times, people that are much older, but they're still so passionate and so good at teaching, and even have more experience because they're older. So they're getting even better, And so just the fact that we have that available here in this city in so many studios and so many places is crazy. And so the fact that we could even have choices. Like there's so many passionate teachers, there's so many teachers teaching regularly for so many years. And like we can even choose which ones cater even more to us. And like I think also you said something important, like finding an encouraging environment. There's been times when I've taken classes regularly with a teacher who was really good and I was getting stuff out of it, but then something would happen, or either I would feel like I wasn't personally being encouraged anymore. I felt like, they weren't seeing the potential in me as much or something. And not that, I mean, I never was in a situation where, because I didn't grow up dancing, so I was never in a situation that was like abusive or something, but just like, but I just realized, you know what, there's some classes that are a little more encouraging along with the corrections, because I think mentally I also need to stay really hopeful in order to be driven to practice and really work hard. If I'm, just not being ever noticed, or if someone isn't speaking to me in an encouraging way and it's sort of making me feel down about my lack of training or something like that, it's like I need the mental stuff to be there too, where I feel emotionally like excited and hopeful. So yes, I do want corrections, but please give me them because you're like really seeing something in me. And for the most part, most of my teachers have always been like that, but there's just been certain times when I realized, like, you know what, this class was good for me for a while, but now I think I need to find something else because I need to feel like I have potential, because I think I do, but I need to be around people that also see that and do it in a way that's encouraging, not in a way that's break them down, which I think some people have that mentality, like, let's break them down.
For sure. And I think, too, also, like, the way I see it is, like, if I were to ever give a correction in a class, I would never give it to someone that I felt like couldn't take the correction. Why would I do that? That's, like, mean to be like, oh, you should do this thing that I, like, don't think you're capable of. If I give it, I have full faith you can do that. And that's, like, how I look at that. But even just down to class opportunities in LA, it's, like, here we are, like, outside of Hama's dance studio. Hama, like, studied like under Luigi. And it's, like, there's so many good, like, teachers who have trained in so many different, like, unique styles. I mean, the amount of amazing classes here is just, like, insane.
Like, besides the fact that they're just fun, but then you take into account that all the knowledge they have. And it's like, yes, let's draw from that knowledge. Like, I like that you brought that up, because it is a little, especially a place like Hama's, there are teachers that have just been doing it for so long, and like the knowledge they bring, it's like, let's take it all in and get the most we can out of this. And classes can sometimes feel expensive, not as expensive as the ballroom classes, but they're still expensive sometimes. But I would say most of the time it's just very worth it because of all that you're getting out of it. So highly recommend. And I love what you're doing. And I love to hear, because I kind of knew what you were doing, but hearing just like about all the different classes you've been taking for so long and just like how your whole life has kind of come together is so cool. Now, when I look at you, I can be like, okay, this girl went through stuff. Like, I mean, obviously everybody has, but it is easy when I've met you later in life to be like, oh, she's just so good. But now I'm like, okay, there was a time when she says she wasn't as good and she worked really hard, and that's very inspiring to people. You know?
There are two people who dance with Unbound who did dance with my high school dance team who could attest to this, and they saw me before I was good, and they know, and like, but that was like a thing. Like, it was like the thing. They're like, oh, you like rose up. Like, that was like my thing where I was like, I did. But I also like worked my ass off. Like, it was like not for nothing, you know? But that's where I'm always like, it's easy to get in my head, like with anything. It's that self-talk that has to like get you out of your head. You're like, you're the only one who's going to raise your energy up and like show up. So
you'll hear that negative self-talk, and then it's like you have to talk back to that and be like, wait, that's not true. And so because we already do that to ourselves enough, definitely being around a community and teachers that speak positively can help us, because, you know, sometimes it's hard to get yourself out of that. But then someone says something encouraging or notices something in you. Like, even just recently, I was taking a class that with a teacher I hadn't really taken from before. So I was around different people than normal, because sometimes you're around the same people so much and they do think you're great and they're all encouraging, but they're just used to you. And you go to a class that they're not used to you and they're just meeting you and they're calling out things in you that you didn't realize were like good. They're like, I had a girl be like, wow, you're such a strong dancer. Not like, she meant it like I have strength.
No, that's like a great compliment.
Yeah, and I hadn't, nobody's ever like said that to me. And I think it's because I take so many classes with everyone who has a ton of strength and more than me, like the type of classes I usually take. And so taking what I've learned from those classes and taking a different type of class, someone noticed that like I had that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I've just been getting interesting comments like that from different new people I've been meeting and realizing like, oh, sometimes kind of like what you were even saying, like performing with different groups, sometimes it just gives you a different way to grow, or people notice different things to help pull different things out of you. And when you hear those kind of words, it makes you think about it and like, oh, and it doesn't make me think, oh, I'm so strong. It makes me think, oh, I want to get even better at that. I want to like someone notice that in me. Maybe that's something I can even like hone more and have more strength, you know? So it's just like really helpful to have people around you that are encouraging. You can't always monitor that. Like, there's always going to be sometimes people that are discouraging, but if you find yourself in a class or an organization that is continuously discouraging or making you feel like a way that you don't like feeling, I used to tell myself, if I leave the class and I don't have joy, I don't want to go back to that class, because I noticed I was sometimes in classes where I kept going because I felt like, well, I'm learning technique and I'm like growing. But I noticed myself feeling sad every time I left class. And it was because I wasn't feeling like encouraged. And like, you know what? I started realizing it's not just about taking every class that has like a good teacher who can like train good. It's also like my mental health, and I need to feel encouraged so that I can keep wanting to go. And because I love dance, so it's very normal for me to leave feeling joyful. So it's very weird that I'm leaving not feeling joy. Like, what is going on? Like, if I'm constantly feeling left out or never ever called out, I really appreciate the fact that a lot of the classes I go to right now, even though I'm maybe like more beginner than most people in the class, the teachers, when they get to know you, they want to challenge you. So they'll be like, come out and like go in a small group or go by yourself, because they're trying to push you. And I think that's so encouraging, even though like I know I'm not one of the best ones in class, but I need to be in classes where teachers get excited to push you and call you out sometimes. And not just teachers who are like, oh, I just want the best dancers so that we can get some good videos. It's like, I want teachers that like teaching. And I feel like people that like teaching like people like me who don't know everything, because then they're like, oh, I could actually teach her, versus someone who comes in already knowing everything. That's great. It's fun to watch them.
But also like your growth is like a testament to their skill also. Right. Like, to me, it's like, I'm like, they put in the work, I'm kind of the product. I mean, like, I also had to put in like a ton of work, obviously. But
yeah, they're a huge part of it. And then they could be like, oh, wow, I really helped them do that, versus just, well, they came here like that and now they're performing my choreography great, but I didn't specifically really like teach them necessarily.
Because that's like, to me, like what constitutes like good training is someone like giving you the skills that you couldn't give yourself. Because I'm like, if I just show up to a class and I'm like just doing things I could have done at my house, like on YouTube, like I'm kind of like, why am I paying for this? It's like, why did I drive? Like that's why I like when you like find a class that sticks, or like teacher that like sticks, you're like, oh, like gold. And I feel like to be that for someone would be powerful. So,
and also, okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Also, if that teacher ever gets taken away because like you have to move somewhere, or your schedule changes, or they end up not teaching regularly anymore, also don't let that scare you, because I got good at like honing in on teachers that could really help me. But then if something was going to change, I would have all this fear. Like I'm never going to find, but like there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a minute to like find a new person or some new good teachers, but just like don't be afraid, because if it's something that you really want to do, if you really want to dance, you're going to find something that works. You're going to find something. You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, we're going to end because like we do have to like eventually eat dinner and stuff. But Brittni, this was such a good conversation.
Yeah, I feel like we'd never stop talking.
And you didn't talk as fast as I thought you were going to.
I was thinking about it the whole time. I was like, oh no one's going to understand anything.
Brittni's like, what is your little caption on your Instagram? It's like,
life short, talk fast. It's Gilmore Girls quote.
Oh, it is? I didn't know that.
It's but like because I identify.
Yeah, Gilmore Girls does talk very fast. And Brittni is just known for how fast she talks. I was literally like, okay, Tracy, you're going to have to really listen to her because she is going to talk fast, which is fine. But I need to make sure I'm understanding and like hearing everything she's saying. And actually, I felt like you talked slower than normal.
I think because maybe I had to think about things. And usually I just blurt out answers. But like maybe otherwise, if it's like really fast when you edit it, you can just like add subtitles.
Hilarious. Okay. Anyway, we're going to end it. But thank you guys for watching. And Brittni, thank you so much for taking all this time. It was such a fun day. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.